Leaders is Kian from Friends of Irony, protecting families by protecting the pack. And I hope you guys had a great weekend. It's a Monday, March 12th. So today it's been quite an interesting market day. A lot of changes, a lot of drops, and we're gonna be going over the Mad Hatter on, I believe it was C Cash or whatever it is. It kind of moved up in the market cap, so I just kind of hit my radar. So I went ahead and kind of did some settings on how to trade in a way with the bot that doesn't get you stuck holding the bag. So in order to do that, we have to allow it to have some losses. I give credit to Cosmos out there in the Haas Online community for this strategy. So I'm not the best at it, but still learning. But then we're going to incorporate some of the settings that of how to tune it to a way where you can do that in the auto tuner, so that we can initially search out and set it up so that it can trade and get out when it needs to get out, and then tune it to that to maximize the ROI on it. So let's go ahead and switch over and show you what to do. Alright, so I didn't really need to tune it too much right now. I just kind of got it working. This kind of thing. And what you want to do is to, when you look at your analyzer, and we'll go over the settings a little bit, to make sure that it doesn't have probably more than 2 or 3 trades per day. So each of these is a full day. 1, 2, 3. So maybe 2, 3 complete trades. Alright, you want to get in and get out pretty quickly. See, some of this is where it buys here, sells there, buys here, sells there, buys there, sells there. So they're like very tight, in a sense, downtrend type of trades. Of course, this was probably maybe a tight loss, maybe, but usually got out when it needs to get out, and then it should have picked up if it could have, down here and maybe bought up here. But it is what it is. So you see here, you expect a little bit of losses, but overall a steady gain where you're in the market, in the game pretty much consistently. I don't think it got in on this part, but almost every day it got in. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the bot here and look at the Manhattan settings. Alright, so some of the key features that I've seen is minimum price change to buy is 0, minimum price change to sell is 0, and the stop loss is 0. So that way it can buy and sell and get out without any limitations. Alright, once you do that, the other biggest criteria I've seen is a low length, so that we can get in and out of the market quite quickly, because it has to hit these bands or break these bands in order for it to sell. If it's too steady, it won't sell it often enough, and when it's too frequent, it will fight your trades. I mean, as far as like you trade too frequently throughout the day, and your fees will go up. Okay, so that's the balance that we need to maintain with that. And then also the signal is another thing I've seen. Also, it just said from, let me see what the criteria is. I think I had a little bit of a little notes here, so let me refer back to that real quick. On the MACD part, yeah, it kind of starts low. You can go from like 2, 9, and 10, or step it up, by 5s on the way up, and see if that improves your ROI or your frequency of trades. But the biggest criteria here is the RSI. That's the biggest thing that changes the frequency. So if you're trading too frequently, then you might want to increase this to lower the frequency of trades. Okay, and then as far as the Bollinger Bands goes, that plays a role too. But I think for this dev up, the lower the number is, the more frequently it will happen. Same thing for this, for the sell. Dev up is sell, dev down is the buy line. So the lower this is, the more likely it's going to buy also. Alright, and as far as Bollinger Bands goes, there is something to that too. I think it can go up to, let me see here, 20, 40, 60. Let me look over here real quick. 20, 40, 60. And I think this can go as pretty high in order for these bands to work. So let me do a couple. Let me just see what happens to the characteristics. It looks like the bands get wider and wider. Yeah, wider and wider. So if you want to reduce your trades, you can make the bands really wide, and that means you have to move more in order to break these bands. And so if you want more frequency of trades, I believe, you lower it, the bands will get tighter. And let me see here. Actually, that looks like it's doing the opposite. It's falling so tightly that it can't break the bands. So if we made it slower, then it moves slower, then it can break the band. So based on that, then you can increase and decrease the amount of trades you have. So if I did like this, let's see how many more will it be a positive ROI? I don't know. Or did it break it? Alright, so let's say maybe I might have traded too frequently, or it just didn't trade at all because it was too wide. Look at view trades. It looks like it can probably trade too many times maybe, or just trade at losses. There's a couple losses. Buy, sell, buy, sell. As far as the trade frequency is okay, just probably not trading at the proper areas. Okay, so let's bring that back to 20. 2 weeks. Let's get back to where we were. Okay, and so let's say we wanted to increase our frequency of trading, then we will tighten this up a bit. Let's go to 40 and 50. So it's always going to break the band somewhere, right? When it's so tight, I believe it'll probably increase the frequency of trades so much that maybe the fees catch up a little bit to it. Okay, and your ROI gets reduced. I didn't really put a proper trade amount. This is 0.1 for the trade amount for now, but I didn't calculate that. Alright, so let's see here. It still looks like it's trading maybe 1 a day instead of 2 to 3 a day. But it looks like the fees are really catching up to it. It just makes really tiny scalps rather than giving it some time to grow. Okay, so there's a little bit of a balancing that you need to do there. So it does trade less, but it gets in and out too quick, it seems like. And then the fees are catching up. Okay. Alright, now it might be a different criteria, might be a different scenario if we actually enter a proper trade amount. So let's say this is it's very low right now, so let's say, looks like it's only 2 cents. So, less than a penny it looks like. So let's put 10,000. This in BTC, so let's save it. Let's see if that affects our fee. Probably about the same, looks like. Alright, let's do the analyzer. Alright, so looks okay. Alright, but if you think you can spend more time rather than getting in and out too quickly, then do so. So here, this is one loss there. Okay, so play with these settings. Of course, the market's going to change, of course, and the back test doesn't necessarily represent the forward test. So we'll do our best to achieve what we need to achieve. Let me see. I think I need to put this back up to, I think it was 10 before. So it's always good to do snapshots too. Okay, so you can remember and go back to it. No, that's a loss. Okay, so let's keep that low, RSI low. Alright, I think what I did was I tightened this. So let's revert back to that. Let's apply the thing there. Save that. I think I remember what I did now. So now we're back to the 14%. Alright, cool. And let's look at the analyzer real quick. And at least it's good. Alright, so, and definitely, on the first day, when it first starts off, it doesn't have enough data, I think. I think usually on the first day or two, we'll incur a little bit of a small loss, but let it run, let it pick up. Don't kill it too early. I've done it a few times to some of bots, like, oh no, it's like losing a little bit of money, and then like, oh, and when you backtest it, you're like, okay, I expect this to happen, a little bit of loss here and there because it's supposed to, but over the long run, as it picks up, it'll know how to trade and accumulate more profits over time. Okay. Side note, I want to share with you our new update of our auto tuner. So let me show you cool features that we've added so far. get that launched. I'm actually launching this from my developer, so I won't be showing you that. Let me show you the compiled version. It's a little older version, maybe like 0.01 less than the other one. But the user interface is pretty much done. And I'm adding a little bit more stuff. It is able to now trade, instead of percentages, we use fixed amounts. So especially for when we enter, let me maximize this. So here, the length, if I put a 10 here, normally it'll just trade 10% throughout the whole thing. But now, instead of 10%, we'll do 10 steps. So that means for the minimum price change to buy, it's going to move 10%. BB length will then move from 10 to 20. RSI, if it's at 60, it'll go to 70 and whatnot. So that way they're actually moving by whole numbers now. So for this makes sense if you want to move it by a percentage. Like 0.1 will probably make more sense for this. And especially BB bands is only in the 0.1, 0.2 type of area. You want to move that, 0.1 steps instead of a whole 10, because it's only a range of 1 to 3, so 10 will be way out of bounds for it. Okay, so there you have a little more control on certain numbers. What else? You can now load your settings, so you can quickly load up your settings and then just launch it. You don't have to type it in every time, and then just load it, and all this settings right here will load too. So if I save this and now I want to go back to it, I changed something like, I want to go back to my old settings, I can just load it again and it'll come back to, actually that's a little bug. I fixed it though. So let's say it's over here. I'll save this part and I want to go, I just saved it. I'm not supposed to see it. So let's say I put 9 and it should go back to 0.2. If I load it, it should go back to 0.2. Okay, so that's kind of the cool thing about that. Other than that, that's pretty much the basic part of it. This part is now upload. The number is kind of small. I'm thinking about making it a little bigger here, but let me know. And then you can break your loop here. And pretty much the rest is the same. So now this will launch the browser. It'll kick off, and it's a lot more stable now. We're having no memory issues, and go from there. And other things is that with the safeties disabled, I added this feature. Because we're trading for downtrends, so we don't want to mess with these numbers anymore. If we went ahead and do MA settings with safeties disabled, it will just work on the numbers below the safeties. It doesn't mess with this stuff. So it'll find the best MA type, and then it will start to perturb 1% on both sides on all these other settings except the safeties, so that the safeties will stay 0. Okay. Another feature we'll be adding is how we kind of initially got this, be able to get a positive ROI on a 0, 0, 0 for the safeties. Usually it's kind of a little tough to get, and kind of a lot of people don't know how to kick off a good initial guess. So we're going to be adding something like that to, in a sense, find where this initial guess is, and then once we find it, then we can then use the auto tuner to perturb it. So that way we can kick off all the coins very quickly by seeding it with initial guess, or at least searching for it, and then tuning it later on. Okay. So that way we can pretty much automate all the other coins very quickly. So once that is done, my next step is then to be able to backtest. Another feature is we can, and that's not on this release, but on the next one, we can actually run multiple instances of this. You can have 2 of these auto tuners running, and you can work on one coin and then launch up another one and work on another coin on another browser, and they'll know which backtest belongs to which backtest based on the notifications of the backtest, and it'll know which one has completed and doesn't cross over or step on each other's foot. So that's another cool feature on that. Then we can kind of multi-thread a little bit and do more faster. Once we get to that point, we'll then have a database where if you would like to contribute, we can then contribute to a common database with some kind of randomization. So then that way, in order to kick off the initial guesses, you can then pull data from already working settings and then tune it to the current settings, because market's always going to change and they expire over, I don't know, maybe a week or something like that, and sometimes even less. So we try to get it up to date to one day, the best as possible, and just kind of keep running it through that way. Okay. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy that. If you guys like to be part of the Wolfpack VIP group, you'll be able to get access to this auto tuner. Just go and click the link below. You have to join the VIP and then the advanced bot section. So it'll be a 10 and a 29 per month to it. And then for now, you get lifetime access to the license as long as you're a paid Wolfpack VIP member. And then once I officially get the 24/7 auto tuner, where it's just kind of like the end of this development, and then we'll just kind of add small things here and there. That's where I'll pull it off, and there'll be a paid separate upgrade for the auto tuner once we can get it to do 24/7. But as far as one thing, I might just allow it to be 24/7, not 24/7, but just I want to add value to you guys, so you get to try the software, you guys like it, and you guys are doing well with it. Then I'll ask for an additional upgrade to get the 24/7 auto tuner stuff, so you can do more coins. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you, and you guys have a good week. If you guys have any questions or anything, put your comments below. Subscribe to my video if you want to see more updates. I'd appreciate it if I earned your upvotes on Steemit. If you click that below, I'd really appreciate it too. And thank you so much. You guys have a good one, and